Good evening. We have Kim Bryant from UofM, our popular presenter from UofM, from Troy, who is happy to present this evening. I kindly request all of you to please silence your phone so we can all derive maximum benefit from her presentation. Thank you.
All right, go blue. All right. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. I'm Kim Bryant again, and it's great to be here at Troy, Athens. I lived in Troy for 6 years before moving to Ann Arbor, and we lived right down the street, went to church actually a block down from here, so I'm very familiar. I used to coach cheerleading for littles right upstairs, and it was a lot of fun, so I did that for a couple years. But great to be here. All right, so how many of you are juniors in high school? All right, great. This is the most important year. How many of you are sophomores? All right, good. Any freshmen? All right. Anybody in another grade? Seniors? All right, eighth graders? No. All right. Great. Okay, so not too early to learn about what we're looking for at the University of Michigan. So when you apply to Michigan, we have you apply to a specific college or school. So Literature, Science, and the Arts is our largest college on our campus. And if you're undecided or you have a lot of different ideas in terms of majors, LS&A is typically the way to go. So we also have engineering. So College of Engineering, we focus a little bit more on your math preparation and science preparation. So we're going to look at that a little bit more detail with test scores and grades in certain courses, clubs, things like that, if you're applying to the College of Engineering. We also have the Ross School of Business, and we are fortunate to have Brianne Braun here, and she has a table in the gym right next to ours, so far right corner. So go visit her if you are interested in the Ross School of Business. She's happy to chat with you about that. But you can apply to Ross now as an incoming first-year student at the University of Michigan. So we also have a special program that we just added this year. It's an integrated bachelor in Ross, as well as a bachelor's degree in our College of Engineering. So knowing that I want to be an engineer, but I also want to pursue some business. So smaller cohort, this is our first year doing it. So if you're interested in that, again, speak with Brianna, and she's happy to give you some more information about that program. We also have the Marsall School of Education. So they have a table. I haven't seen their rep yet, but maybe by the time we're done here, they'll show at their table, and you can ask them questions as well. They're right next to Bree at the Ross table. So you can apply to that. You can also apply to the School of Nursing directly, the School of Pharmacy, and Architecture and Urban Planning, Art and Design, the School of Music, Theater, and Dance. I just had the privilege about 2 weeks ago on President's Day seeing one of your alums here at Athens who I met him. He was sitting right back in that back row many years ago when I was presenting. He's a sophomore now on our campus, and he's loving it. He's majoring in communications and film, and just a great, great young man. So it was great to catch up with him a few weeks ago, seeing him in my office. He was part of a panel. So he was so excited when I walked in, he remembered. And I remembered him. So it was great. So I love to get to know my students. So let me know where you work, because sometimes I might show up at your place of work. Maybe I'll bring a t-shirt if you've been admitted and share that with you. Always enjoy doing things like that. So, but you're really applying to a specific college or school at the university. Kinesiology is another school you can apply into as a first-year student as well. So figuring out which school you want to go into, applying for that school. We're going to look at specific things when I see your application that comes across my desk. So what do you think the most important factor is going to be when I'm looking at an application for admission? GPA, exactly. Grade point average. So how do we look at your grade point average at Michigan? We're going to look at 9th grade and 10th grade and 11th grade. You're applying your senior year. So when you apply that senior year, we don't have grades typically yet. So we're not going to factor the senior year grades in. So we're just going to look at the grades from 9, 10, and 11. We are going to recalculate your GPA. So if you have an A+, an A-, that is considered a 4.0 on our campus. So A- is not a 3.9, it's a 4.0. All right, B+, B-, B-, 3.0. So you can factor in at the end of your junior year, students that are juniors, you can determine what GPA we're going to be looking at when we see your file. So just factor that in. Put it all on a 4.0 scale. Add up grades in every course that you've taken throughout high school, 9th grade through 11th. All right, so we're going to look at the GPA. What else am I going to look at? SAT or ACT. Currently, we are test optional. Will that change for next year? Maybe. It's always good to take an SAT since they're offered because we may require it. Many schools are going back to required. It's not required as of yet, as of today. It could change tomorrow. So it's good to have one in your back pocket in case we say we need it. All right, so we'll look at ACT, SATs, whichever one, you self-report those. We do super score, which is looking at the highest subscores of multiple tests and coming up with a new score for you. So we will do that for SAT or ACTs. I always encourage students that apply test optional. The third factor I'm looking at is what? And then I'll talk about that, I guess. Third factor, we have GPA, we have test scores, what else? Extracurriculars are good. What's a little higher than that? Essays, I love essays. We'll talk about that last. Curriculum, rigor. All right, so how many of you have taken an AP class or plan to take an AP class? Okay, that's good. So when you take the AP exams, you can self-report those scores on your application at Michigan. If you are admitted and enrolled, then you'll need to contact College Board at that time, not now. My son called me, he's a sophomore in college now. He called me when he was a high school senior and he said, "Hey Mom, I need your credit card." I said, "Okay, for what?" "Oh, I'm sending in some more applications for schools and they need my AP scores." No. We're not gonna do that right now because you're still gonna take some more APs after your senior year. So we're gonna pay one time. You're not going to pay multiple times to have them sent to multiple schools. You're going to send them to one school, the school that you're going to enroll in. So that's a way to save money and time. Don't do that now, it's too early, okay? I'm glad he called and asked. My daughter had my number memorized, so she probably would have just done it. So luckily he was smart enough to ask me. All right, so curriculum is important. We typically take scores of 4s and 5s on AP exams. When you're applying to engineering, how I said we look at math and science, we're going to look at those subscores. Do you have 5s in AP Calc, in AP Chem, in AP Physics? Those courses are required or highly required for our College of Engineering. So we're going to look and see what your scores were on those. So if you're taking them senior year, it's fine. We're not going to have them. But if you have them, self-report them. It will help. Okay? So other things that we look at. You said extracurriculars, right? Okay, yes, we are the leaders and best at the University of Michigan. How many of you are leaders in your school in any capacity or in your community? Great, all right, put those hands up, be proud of that. You are leaders. We look at leadership, we want to see what you've done. All right, I'd love to see it. I'm seeing Eagle Scouts this year. I saw 2 this morning when I was reading applications at work. So, a lot of different ways you can be a leader. You can be a leader and in your community, doing volunteer work. Anything that you've done, put that on your application. Sports teams, leadership, captain, quiz bowl, debate. Anything that you've done, 9th grade through 12th, is what you need to brag about on your college applications. We want to see involvement. Some of the things that I don't want to see, that I continue to see, and I take pictures so I can share them when I do my essay workshops. So I walk my dog. I saw one the other day. I have a dog, I walk my dog, I play with my dog. Okay, good, I hope you feed it, all right? And I hope you bathe it. So, but don't put that on your college app. It's not gonna impress me. I think dogs are cute. I personally have a cat. Has anybody been on a tour at the University of Michigan? All right, you might have seen my cat in the model dorm room, in a photo, not in person. But she is in a photograph that's framed in there, so check that out. Her name's Puffin, she's very cute. She has a Michigan cheerleading dress on. I'm sure she didn't like that, but she looks good in the picture. All right, so don't put that you're, a pet lover, in your essays or anything like that. That's not gonna be anything that's giving me depth, all right? But bragging about your activities, listing things that you're involved with, don't do things because you think this is gonna look good on my college application. I want you to do things and be involved in activities that you are passionate about, things that speak to you. That's really important. All right, it comes off as authentic, and that's what I want to see. So other things, something else nobody mentioned yet before I talk about essays. What else do we look for, students? Juniors, it's an important year for you. What are you thinking about? Any ideas? Required for the University of Michigan. What'd you say? Recommendations. All right, recommendation letters. So very, very important. All right, so my son, his name's Michael. If any of you taken a tour, you might have him. He's a tour guide, so he's great. But when Michael was applying, I always tell students that you need to find some teacher that was junior year, that you had in your junior year, because you're applying in a few months when you're a senior, so they're gonna have had you recently when you're more mature, when you're getting more serious about APs and honors and all the different courses that you're taking and maybe a path that you want to take and which college or school you want to apply to. You want that teacher to be the one that's talking about your strengths in high school, inside and outside of the classroom. So it's really good to have a junior teacher from junior year. Now Michael said to me, Mom, I'm going to ask my 10th grade honors English teacher to write my letter of recommendation. I was 100% behind that decision and very excited about that decision. Now I just told you junior year. So students, any student out there, why? Why would that be okay? Yeah? He's had a long-term connection with her. That is correct. Any other ideas? A club advisor. Who said that? Good job. Did you hear me before? Oh, she's heard this before. Okay, that's all right. So, yes. So, Michael first met Miss Venema when he was in 8th grade. She's the debate coach at the high school. She came over to the middle school to start building her pipeline and said, you know what, I'm going to start debate in middle school and see if I can get some more involvement. Michael was the first to sign up. He was eager. He was with her after school, with other students, forming cases, going around to different schools and winning trophies. Super excited about it. He loved it. He was on fire. 9th grade came around, did debate. Continued to do debate throughout high school. And really got to know her because spent a lot of time with her, after school and on the weekends. And she saw how passionate he was about the subject. So in 10th grade, when he was given a spot on the varsity soccer team, they have teacher appreciation night. So he asked her to walk on the field with him. He acknowledged her. He wrote something on her, and she got a little soccer ball cookie. And he acknowledged her, and then she came to the stands and sat with me and watched him play. So asking her, she can talk about him in an honors class, English, which he loved and did well. So she can talk about the strength of his academics. She can talk about the strength doing debate being on stages and presenting and doing homework on those cases. She can talk about him on the soccer field as she watched him as a 10th grader and came back 11th grade and watched him, came back his senior year when he was captain. So she could talk a lot about his growth outside of the classroom. The perfect teacher recommender. So if you have a Miss Venema in your life, that's who you should ask. All right, you don't necessarily want to ask, you know, one year when we first started going to this where we needed recommendation letters, I actually met at Troy High with the entire English department because all the students were asking all the English teachers to write their recommendation letters because they thought they were going to be graded on how well they were written, and they figured, well, they're going to be really good at this. Yes and no. We're not grading them on how well they're written. We're grading it on how well they know you and it can express who you are as a person. So your character is important. So that's something to really think about. So who do you connect with? Juniors, think about it in the next month or two. Who are you going to ask to write your recommendation letter? And it's a good idea to ask them before you leave for the summer, because some of them might write it over the summer, like my daughters did. So it's always good to give them a nice heads up. Don't wait until October 31st. All right, that's too late. All right, so recommendations. Counselors can also write recommendations. If there's something that, some kind of adversity that you've been through, please share that with your counselor and they can talk about it. Or if you don't want to do that, there is a portion on the application that talks about challenges. So if you've had a challenge that you feel like we need to hear about. I read one right before I left today that a student had broken his back twice, sophomore and junior years in his sport. 2 times. He had to wear a metal brace. It really impacted his involvement in activities. He missed some school, so he talked about that. So that's appropriate. If there's things that happen that are unfortunate, that's something that you might want to mention. So we can take that into consideration when I'm looking at your application. All right? And if your counselor wants to comment on it as well, that's great. Okay? So recommendations are great. All right. So essays. I love essays so much. So I typically do essay workshops in May or June. I did them last year. Who goes to Athens? All right, great. How many Troy High? All right, any IA? Okay. Anybody from any other school? Yes, which school? Which one? Larson Middle School? Good for you. Okay, so you'll be here. All right. So we will, I typically do essay workshops at all of these schools that you mentioned. So I don't have them scheduled yet. I do have, I think, Frankel Jewish Academy scheduled for May, but the rest are not scheduled yet. So, but we'll get them on the calendar, you know, in the next month or two. And I encourage you to come to that. It's really good. I talk a lot about our essays and kind of what we're looking for in essays. You get to read real live Michigan essays. We talk about those, what's good, what's bad, what you should focus on. It's really getting to know you as a person, so it needs to be in your own voice. That's really, really critical. So my oldest daughter had a friend and her mom had asked if I would look over her essay. So her mom sent it to me and I read it and it was terrible. And I've known this young lady since she was really young. So I called her and I said, Amanda, what is going on with your essay? Your mom just sent it to me and I don't even know what you're trying to say. It's so confusing. It's all over the place. And she said, well, yeah, because my mom and 4 of her friends edited it. So it was written by 5 50-year-olds. That's why I didn't come across as a 17-year-old's voice. So very important. Do not pay somebody to write your essays, ever. All right? It needs to be authentic. I want to hear from you. I know when it's somebody older. I know when it's somebody that probably doesn't sound like you. I can tell for most parts. If it's from ChatGPT, yeah, I've written that. This is an AI-generated essay, 100%. Deny. If you're not being honest when you're applying to college, you're not going to do well in college if you do that. You're going to be dismissed. So we're going to make it easy and just dismiss you before you're admitted. So write your own essays in your own voice. That's really important. Why the University of Michigan? That is a really important essay. I want to understand how you see yourself on our campus. If you list a bunch of professors that you looked up on our website, no, that's not authentic. Do you know them personally? If you do, maybe that would be a good thing. Maybe it's your neighbor, and they're a professor and you've really gotten to know them and you love this class they teach, so you want to take it. That would be okay. But if you don't personally know these people, just listing random classes and professors, that's not really telling me why you want to be on our campus. So you guys are just like an hour away. So I used to live here. For 2 years, I drove to campus when I was working in the late 90s, and I made that happen every day. So to go one day and take a tour is really worth it. So our tours are all posted through May right now. We will be posting summer tours shortly, probably in the next month. So it's good to take a tour and learn what it's about on campus. I had my son take tours. We did a lot. And when he toured Michigan in his backyard, he fell in love. And he's like, wow, I didn't know this. I didn't know this, Mom. This is really cool. And he could picture himself there. So when he wrote his essays, which some of you, if you take my workshop, you may see one, he really had a strong interest in attending the University of Michigan. And it was in his own voice, and he really talked about it. He did his homework. He had been to campus. If you participated in a camp or something like that on campus, Vocal Arts Day, talk about that. Mention that you've set foot in Ann Arbor. You can ask yourself, can I picture myself here? Because it's really unfortunate if you apply and you're admitted and you've never been to campus, and then you get there and you think, oh, it's not what I thought it was. So many, many years ago, when my oldest daughter was applying to colleges, we went to a college fair in North Carolina. She met a professor there. It was actually the dean of admissions of the music school at a school, and he was just so wonderful. He was very engaging. Didn't have his phone out. Some people do, but he literally was very engaging and really got her excited about his school. So she came home and she researched it, and she's like, Mom, we have to go. I really want to visit this school. It's perfect for me. They have everything I want. So I booked the flight, rental car, hotel, and off we went. We did the normal tour. We did the music tour. We met with an admissions counselor. We met with the same dean in his office. As we left, we stopped and got a bagel for lunch. It was late. And we came out, and we were driving back to the hotel, and I said, what'd you think? I'm not applying. I said, wow, that this was perfect on the website. I said, tell me more. Her first reason, too small. Remember that, okay, too small. She said, okay, and the downtown had the bagel place and a dry cleaner. It had nothing. There was no life here. I want a little bit of campus life. And she said, the tour guide said, oh, it's so great. Nobody bothers us up here. It's just us, so that nobody comes up here. It's just we get to be really close with each other. It's just really great. She's like, I don't think I want that. She's like, I want to be in a community where they bring in visiting professors that are really good at their craft, and they can tell me more, to teach me more about what I'm doing. I think I want that, Mom. So fast forward when she was making her decision a year later. The college she chose was smaller than that college. However, it had a symphony hall a block away from her campus. They brought in visiting artists all the time. It was in the vibrant city of Boston, Massachusetts. She fell in love. And she did amazing. She was their graduation keynote speaker. It was cute because my son, as we were sitting there after, he said, it was so funny, these two students were sitting in front of us, and I heard them saying, we need to look her up. Who is she? Because she was winning all these awards. They're like, wow, we got to see who she is. So she found her fit You all will find your fit too. It's really important. This year we did change and we added early decision as an enrollment plan. So that is designed for students that have visited campus and know 100%, I see myself here. They have the area that I want to study, or I'm not sure what I want to study, but they have a lot of options. And I can picture myself here. And I think I really want to go there. So apply early decision. It is binding. So if you are admitted early decision round, it is a binding decision. You need to enroll. If you're not sure and you still want some other options, none of my 3 kids applied early decision anywhere. They wanted options. So they did apply, and early action is a great way. We take the majority of our students, we admit the majority of our students who apply early action. So don't be afraid that it's going to discount your admission in any way, because it doesn't. So we took very few students during our early decision round. Then we have regular decision. That was February 1st, the deadline. You have no idea how many students and counselors are emailing me still over the weekend. Today, oh, can I send this in to complete their file? It's over a month. No, we are wrapping up. I'm hoping, I have less than 100 applications to read. I'm hoping to finish that by Friday, so I don't have to work on the weekend. I'm about ready to be done. So most of the applications that are applying regular decision that I've seen this year, and not so much difference from other years, but this year, I think even a little bit less competitive. I read a 3.2 GPA today. Not competitive. Our most competitive students have a 3.9 and above at the University of Michigan. So 3.2, not ready. All right, downward trend senior year. I saw one with some D's and C's today. Deny. Not ready. Okay, go somewhere else, and you can build that up and do better. You can apply as a transfer if Michigan's your end goal. So that is also possible. All right, so you have until May 1 to make your decision. Once you are admitted to the University of Michigan, unless you're admitted early decision, then you're in and you're going. If you apply early action or regular, you'll have till May 1 if you're admitted. So you let us know. We have Campus Day, which is a great program designed for students who have been admitted to the university. I have been over there multiple days. I've seen students from IA, from Troy High, from Troy Athens. Every single day that I go over, I'm seeing students that are admitted and they're excited. I just matched up 2 roommates on Friday from West Bloomfield. One went to West Bloomfield and one went to Frankel, and they had never met, and they're going to be roommates. So very cool. So it's a great fun way to meet other students and get to see more of the campus. You'll eat lunch in a residence hall, which is not bad. I actually don't mind it. My son is a sophomore this year at Michigan, loves it so much, and he actually is on the meal plan. He has a house with 5 other boys, and he and a few boys in the house are on the meal plan, and he said, it's life-changing, Mom, because he didn't do the meal plan last semester, even though I really tried to convince him. So he told me at Christmas, yeah, I think I'd like to do the meal plan. Zach does it, and it works really well. And he's like, life-changing. So, good. He can walk across the street to South Quad and get a nice meal and doesn't need to worry about cooking. And when he's out in class, he can go to North Quad and eat there. So, thank you so much for coming tonight. I know we're out of time, but please come visit campus and have a great night, and go Blue!
Thank you for your patience. Gentle reminder to please silence your phone before the presentation starts so all of us could benefit maximum out of the presentation. Thank you.
Let's all stand and sing the greatest college fight song in the land, the MSU Fight Song.
All right. Good evening. I'm sorry, I get distracted. So it's Gino's great about doing that for me, though. I appreciate it. How's everybody doing this evening? Good. Go white. All right, we got that going already. That's great. Well, good. I'm glad you come out to the college fair. I find a lot of value in a college fair, and not just because I work in college admissions. I think this is a great way for students to really get introduced to colleges, to learn a little bit more about the types of colleges that are out there. So I really hope you're utilizing it as much as you can and really getting the information. I'm going to talk about Michigan State, but just quick introduction. My name is Ben Brown. I'm an assistant director at MSU. Been there for 19 years. I got my master's degree from Michigan State in Student Affairs Administration, so I'm doing exactly what I set out to do when I went to Michigan State all those years ago. So I've been in the Office of Admissions my entire time at Michigan State. I've been working with students in the Troy district, I think of 19 years, probably 12 years that I've been working with students in this district. So I'm pretty familiar with the caliber of students that comes out of this school district and how well they do at Michigan State. And so I'm always thrilled to work with students from the Troy area. So I don't know how we're doing on my... Still working on it. Still just elongating it. It's my fault. I saved it the wrong way. So I do have a PowerPoint that we'll go through. But just to kind of give you an overview, I want to talk a little bit about the big picture about Michigan State tonight. And then we will kind of talk about the application process and how I do my job as an admissions counselor and those types of things as well. So kind of the big picture of MSU to get started. We are a really, really big place. Big for us means about 52,000 students, so that's about the nation's 7th or 8th largest institution, just when we do a quick head count of everybody that's there. And so what's really important, though, of that 52,000, about 40,000 are undergraduate students. And so our undergraduate population, very much a traditional undergraduate population. They're 18 to 23 years old. Almost all of them are right out of high school. They're working on their first degree. So very much your peers, the same kind of students that 2 or 3 years ago are in the seats that you're in right now, make up the majority of our campus. That's important for you to know because as the majority of our campus, our faculty really enjoy working with our undergraduate students. The resources that we've established on our campus are really to make sure our undergraduate students are going to be successful. And then really when we look to advance the university, to grow the university, we're looking to our undergraduate population to kind of help us figure out what those next steps are going to be. So ultimately at Michigan State, we're really here for you. Because of that undergraduate focus, our faculty want to work with you. The resources that we've established on our campus are really for you to be successful. And ultimately, when we look to move Michigan State forward, we're going to look to you to help us figure out how to move Michigan State forward. Students at Michigan State come from all around the world, about 110 countries represented on our campus, all 50 states, every single county in the state of Michigan is represented on our campus as well. And so definitely a big place, big global implications, but students from all around the world are studying at MSU also. So big campus. When I get this up, I'll show you a little bit about why we have that big campus, kind of what Troy's representation is at MSU. You all kind of fight between the 1 and 2 spot for a school district to give us the most applications. So we know that there's a lot of students interested in Michigan State. We also know that they're going to be very successful at Michigan State as well. So I'm going to hold off for a second.
You're just going to have to say next slide for us.
Okay, I can do that. Let's go to let's go to slide 5. That feels good. We talked about that. We're from everywhere. Now we're talking about Troy Community Schools. Perfect. Thank you. So last year we had 607 applicants. Of that, 544 were admitted and 206 kids started at Michigan State from your school district last year. When we look at, so that's important. We know that a lot of students are interested in us. We know you can be successful through the admissions process. What's equally important to us, though, is that you're going to be successful when you get to Michigan State. And that box kind of up on the top left-hand side is really how successful Troy students are at MSU. 93% of them return for their second year. 96% of those students are still in good academic standing after that first year. Of those students that start with us, 70% of them graduate within 4 years, and then 88% will graduate in 6 years of the students that originally started with us. So that's much higher, or not much higher, it is higher than our averages at MSU, but that really says a lot about the caliber of students and how successful you can be at Michigan State. The other thing that I think is really, really important for all of you to understand, our honors college is really for about the top 10% of our applicant pool, but when we looked at the numbers last year, 24% of the students from Troy that applied were invited into our honors program. So that's significantly higher than kind of the big average. Again, we know the caliber of students, we know how successful you're going to be, and the impact you're going to make on our campus. So it's really important for us. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. When we're looking at studying on campus, I think that's really hopefully one of the big questions you're asking tonight at the college fair is, do they have the academic areas that you're interested in? We certainly have a lot of academic areas at Michigan State. 17 degree granted colleges within that. Over 400 areas of study when you get minors and concentrations all figured into that. We like to say everything from accounting to zoology is available for you. There are some things along that alphabet train that maybe are missing a little bit. But more than likely, if there's something you want to study, we have a version of that at Michigan State. 2 residential colleges are also something that I like to highlight because I think some students might get a little intimidated about the size of Michigan State. 52,000 students can feel like a lot. It certainly can. But residential colleges are a great way to break down that size of Michigan State. The 2 residential colleges, the Lyman Briggs is our largest. That really centers on the natural sciences. So a lot of pre-med students interested in Lyman Briggs. James Madison is international relations, public policy, and constitutional law. And so a lot of pre-law students interested in James Madison. These are living learning programs. So ultimately what that means is everybody you're living with is studying the same thing that you're studying. A lot of your faculty offices are in the same building that you live in. Your advising offices are in that building as well. A lot of your classes for your major are going to be in that building. So you really, what we've done is create an intentional community of support for you. You are still a Spartan, so you still get all that big university experiences that you want. You just have a smaller community that you call home base and you get to go back to. So it does shrink down that overall size of Michigan State. Outside of the residential colleges, we have living learning programs as well. So those are all, they don't necessarily grant degrees like these 2 particular programs, but they're great ways to make smaller connections, live with people that are interested in the same things that you're interested in. Great example of that is RISE. It's the residential initiative for the study of the environment. So if you're really passionate about environmental conservation, environmental biology, but maybe that's not even your major or your interest, you can live within RISE and have that smaller living community to be a part of. So it really does take that large Michigan State and kind of break down that overall size for us. Okay, next slide. Academics is certainly important. Academics go outside of the classroom at Michigan State. A couple things that I like to highlight. The first is our study abroad program. I would venture that most of the institutions here tonight have some version of study abroad available to you. It has become kind of a part of the college going experience. What really sets Michigan State apart is the size of our program. We have probably about 300 different programs. We go to about, I think, 60 or 70 different countries. We do visit all 7 continents, so we send students to Antarctica if that's what they want to do. And so it's an amazing opportunity to go out and see the world. We have designed our programs so it's part of your educational experience, so it doesn't delay graduation. In fact, a lot of our students that study abroad with us accelerates their time to graduation because they can earn a lot of credits in a small amount of time on their trip. And we make it affordable for you. About 1 semester abroad is equal to about 1 semester on campus. We even have programs that you can study abroad with Michigan State before you ever set foot on campus. We call them first-year seminar abroad programs. So before you come and take your first class at Michigan State, you can actually go on a 2-week study abroad program with a faculty and 20 other students that are coming in just like you. It's a great way to get a start at Michigan State. You earn anywhere from 4 to 6 credits of general education credits, so you're jump starting that process. But a lot of amazing opportunities to study all around the world. Programs are connected to all of our majors, so every major has an option to study as well. The other thing that I like to point out is undergraduate research. We are a Research 1 institution, which means we conduct a lot of research on our campus every single day. I hear research, I automatically think about microscopes and scientific research. If that's something you're interested in, absolutely we have that available to you. We're one of the few institutions in the country that have their own cyclotron, so we blow apart atoms on our campus every single day. Facility for rare isotope beams is up and operational, so our researchers are studying ions that last only fractions of a second, and they're doing everything from trying to understand the origins of stars to utilizing that information to help with cancer research. So yes, scientific research, a big initiative on our campus, but every single department has research available for our students. And remember, we're an undergraduate-focused institution. Ultimately, that means our faculty are looking to our undergraduate students to help them with the research that they're working on. So students can get involved with research very early on in their career at Michigan State. I know I wasn't thinking about research when I was a junior or senior in high school. That never even crossed my mind once. But having done this job as long as I have, I've seen students go through this process. The students that do get some research involvement, their resumes elevate right to the top of the list, whether it's they're looking to go on into a professional degree or if they're looking to go on into the career of their choice. They already have some of that real life, real world experience that they're gained from working within our research labs. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. Big place, absolutely, 5,200 acres, all right there in East Lansing, kind of singly contained there in East Lansing. So our campus is a very big campus. We're well aware of that. We have one of the largest residence hall systems in the country, and because of that, we've actually broken it up into what we call neighborhoods. So the 5 neighborhoods are kind of highlighted here on this map. The 5 neighborhoods, at the heart of every neighborhood is what we call an engagement center, and that is where we've taken resources that we know students need to be successful, and we put it right at their doorstep. So there's tutoring opportunities, there's representatives from our health clinic within the engagement centers, there's representatives from our counseling center, so if a student's feeling overwhelmed or a little homesick, they can go speak to a counselor to talk through that process. So you don't have to navigate this huge campus to find these really vital resources. They're right at your doorstep, so students can utilize those, and it's really helped our students make that transition from high school into college by having those engagement centers available to them. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. Part of that is that retention ratio, so the engagement centers have really helped us, like I said, make that transition. 90% of our students that start with us stay with us into our second year. As I said, Troy students is actually a lot higher than that. So we know that you guys can be successful here from year to year. But once you are on campus, you will have an academic advisor helping you figure out what your next steps are academically. You will also have a career advisor that's helping you figure out your next steps for your career as well. At Michigan State, the way we do career services is that we have a career service network. Every college has its own career service center because we know the needs from students that are in the College of Natural Science versus the colleges that are students are College of Business. They all have different needs. Their resumes need to look different. Their contacts need to look a little different. So every college has its own career service center to help students really build the skills that they need to get careers within their chosen field. And they're going to start talking to you pretty early on your time in Michigan State to make sure you're getting internships, job shadowing opportunities so that when you graduate, yes, you have a degree, but also you have a resume and you're ready to enter into that workforce. 92% of our students have a job 6 months after graduation within their chosen field, or they're continuing on into an advanced degree. So we take a lot of pride in the work that our Career Service Center is doing for us. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. I'll talk quickly about costs. The one thing that I do want to point out about Michigan State's cost is that we have what we call flat rate tuition. So if you are anywhere from 12 to 18 credits, we charge you the same amount of money. Our ideal number for you is 15. So if you get 15 credits every semester for 8 semesters, you will have 120 credits, and that is how much it takes to graduate from Michigan State, which means you have graduated in 4 years. That is our goal for you, is to graduate in 4 years. But we know students, especially students in this particular district, challenge themselves, and we don't want to discourage that. So if a student wants to take an extra class or maybe even an extra credit, we're not going to charge students extra for that. So if you're above 15, as long as you're keeping it below 18, we're going to charge you the same amount of money. We've actually seen, since implementing flat rate tuition, the amount of student loan debt that students are taking out has gone down significantly, and the time to graduation has gone down as well because students are taking advantage of that flat rate tuition. Okay, we'll go to the next slide to talk a little bit about paying for college. So 3 major ways to do that. It's through need-based aid, merit-based aid, and part-time work. Need-based aid is based off of your FAFSA. That is the free application for federal student aid. I recommend every family take the time to fill out the FAFSA if you can. It is really beneficial. I know a lot of families will say, well, we're not going to get anything from the federal government. I don't want to waste my time. Honestly, they have kind of fixed the system now so it goes a lot faster than it used to. So you're looking at maybe a half an hour, 45 minutes tops to get it all filled out. It's not just the federal government, it's state government and universities look at the results as well. So it is well worth your time to fill out the FAFSA. Even if you don't want to take what they offer you from there and you're like, I don't want that, you can turn it down, but at least you have it on record. The Financial Aid Office, or the Office of Financial Aid at Michigan State, is the office that handles all need-based aid. So they're the ones that work with you through that process. Merit-based aid is what we think of typically as scholarships. So at Michigan State, all you have to do is apply by November 1st. We'll fully consider you for all the scholarships that we have available to you, just based off of your application to the university. So there's no extra steps that you have to take to be considered for our scholarships. That being said, incoming scholarships at MSU, merit scholarships are a fairly competitive process. But once you are on campus, our colleges and departments have scholarships available for students as well. And you can find those at scholarships, it's plural.msu.edu. You can find out about the additional scholarships that are there. Again, it's just kind of how our donor structure is set up. So some donors say, I only want this money going to students in the College of Natural Science, so it's not really available until your second year on campus. But there are additional scholarships available once you are on campus. I would encourage students to really start scholarship hunting now, no matter what phase of this process you are in. It's never too early to really start that process. There is funds out there if you're willing to put a little effort into that. Listed here in small print, I apologize, are some free databases. They are absolutely free. The only thing that will cost you is it will definitely increase your email volume. I'll guarantee you that. But it's worth it. You can start finding out about scholarships that are available. If you read through the email and like, I don't really want that, delete that. But it's a great way to start gaining information. Certainly think locally about in this area what kind of scholarships are available. Think about things that your family's connected to, community organizations, those types of things. They have scholarships too. You can start stacking scholarships, so it might seem like, well, it's only $1,000. That hardly seems like enough. But you get a couple of those, and now you really kind of chisel down that overall cost. So I really do recommend students put a little time and effort into looking for the scholarships that are out there and available to you. And then part-time work is another thing that we recommend at Michigan State. We have more jobs on our campus than we have students interested in filling those jobs. Most of those jobs are at least minimum wage or higher than that. Most of them are actually higher than that. There's leadership opportunities through those part-time jobs on our campus. The biggest thing about Michigan State is when you're a student employee, you are a student first and foremost. So when we go to schedule you when you're working on campus, your class schedule is actually a part of our scheduling system. So we're not allowed to schedule a student to work when they're at class or 20 minutes on either side of that class, just to allow you, to afford you opportunities. So it's a great way to earn a little extra money, cover some of those indirect costs at Michigan State, things like books and just travel back home and those types of things. It's a great way to kind of put some funds towards that. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. Talk about the application process, 3 ways to apply to MSU. I honestly do not care how you apply to Michigan State. We do not have a preference. That being said, I would say, I think when I looked yesterday, we're at almost 80% of students that applied to Michigan State use the Common App this year. So that is probably the most popular way that students are applying to Michigan State. It is really convenient. If you're applying to multiple universities, they're all on the Common App. That's easily the easiest way to apply to Michigan State. If Michigan State's the only place you're applying to, or we're the only one on Common App, I'd recommend using our homegrown application. It's just at admissions.msu.edu. It's a little shorter than the Common App, so it won't take you as long. But again, if you're applying to multiple universities, all on the Common App, it's probably the best way to go. We are also a member of the Coalition app, which is the exact same concept as the Common App. So it's a big data warehouse company. You fill that out, you can apply to multiple universities that all use Coalition apps. But again, when I open up your file, I have absolutely no idea how you applied to Michigan State. So I don't have a preference. It's not like I'm picking one over the other. So ultimately, what is ever most convenient for you is the best way to apply to Michigan State. A couple things I'll point out about our application. There is an essay that we ask you to write. That is really our way to learn more about you as a student, or more about you as a person. We learn a lot about you as a student from your transcript, the classes that you've chosen to take, and how you've challenged yourself. So we get an idea of your abilities within the classroom. I don't know who you are in your community. So that's really what that essay is ultimately all about, is just you telling me about who you are as a person. If you face challenges in your life, if there's something really unique about you, you got to tell me that in that essay, because there's no other way I'm going to learn. I'm certainly well aware that we're in 2026, and there's a lot of tools out there to help you write college essays. That is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for your true voice, but I'm not sitting there with a red pen marking off for grammar or structure or anything like that. Certainly that is important, but ultimately in the end, I just want to learn about you. Michigan State is my home. I'm trying to figure out who I'm inviting into my home. So that's what I'm learning more about through those essays. Take some time, make sure it's a good representation of who you are. The other thing I will say, there is a fee to pay for the application. I think it's $75 now. I will let you in on a little secret. I can't guarantee it, but for the last 5 years, we've offered a free application, usually the first week of October. So if you're a junior starting your senior year, get in contact with your counseling office to see if the Michigan College Access Network is doing free application weeks or months again. Typically, like I said, it's usually the first week of October that we look to do that. So I don't know if, I can't guarantee we're doing it again this year, but for the last 5 years we have done it. So something to keep in mind to apply. Okay, we can go to the next slide. I think that talks a little bit about the criteria. Like I mentioned, I look at your overall 9th through 11th grade, how you've performed. I look at your senior year, see the classes that you've, how you're challenging yourself through all of those 4 years while you've been here in high school. We are test optional for 2027, so that means juniors in the room, we're still test optional for you. We have put a request into the Board of Trustees. We just haven't had it approved yet, but we would like to remain test optional for 28 and beyond. But for sure, juniors, when you go to apply, we will still be test optional at this point. But if you want to send your test scores, that's great. My advice is if you opened up your test results and you saw that number and it put a huge smile on your face and you ran and told somebody what that number was, that's probably a test score that you want to send to Michigan State. If you're like, I'm not really proud of that, or you're like, oh, that's not bad, there's no reason to send it. We've redesigned our application process to really consider test scores as secondary information at this point. So we kind of go through the entire process, and then when we get to the end, we look to see if the student submitted any test scores just as additional information to consider. And I mentioned the essay already. The last thing is that letters of recommendation are not required at Michigan State. Again, having done this job as long as I have, I've never really read a bad letter of recommendation. I've read some poorly written letters of recommendation, but never really a bad letter of recommendation. So unless it is somebody who can really talk about you, or if you had a challenge in your life and they can really talk about how you worked through that challenge, that would be helpful. But for the most part, when we get letters of recommendation, it usually just says the student is wonderful, they'll be wonderful on your campus. It doesn't really give us any more depth beyond that. So that is why it's not required at Michigan State. We'll go ahead to the next slide. I mentioned that we're test optional, so those test scores I would say kind of take with a grain of salt because about half of our students are submitting test scores at this point, a little less than half actually. But what's really important is that GPA range. We're really looking for students 3.5 to 4 points, kind of our ideal range. That's what we'll be looking for again next year. But keep in mind that's what the majority of students had, so kind of 50% of it, if we think of that, of our students that were accepted fell within that range. About 25% were a little higher than that, 25% were a little lower. We certainly look at a lot more than just a GPA. They wouldn't need me if all we had to do was look at a GPA. A computer could do that for them. But I look at how you've built that GPA, the classes that you've taken, the strength of your curriculum. All of that goes into that consideration along with that essay to determine if you're admissible. So GPA range is certainly important. There's a lot more to it than just that GPA. All right. I think we'll go to the next slide and talk about the application timeline. Early action for us is non-binding. It simply means that if you get everything turned in by November 1st to Michigan State, we guarantee a decision on or before January 15th. And that is a really important phrase, on or before. Once we get applications, we get a good number of them in, we'll start making decisions and getting those decisions back out to students. So if you apply early, you could hear well even before November 1st that you've already been accepted to Michigan State. So as we make decisions, we get decisions back to students. But if you get everything turned in, by November 1st, we guarantee you'll hear from us on or before January 15th on where you kind of stand with us. Those other dates and deadlines are certainly there, but we are really early in this process, and there is no reason for you not to hit that November 1 timeline at this point in time. My timeline that I always suggest when I come back to visit in the fall is really middle of September to middle of October. That is the time to get your application into Michigan State, especially if we do a free application again. That first week in October is the prime time to get your application in because it's free to turn it in at that point in time. So that's still the ideal window for students to get everything turned in. It doesn't really advantage you to, we go live on August 1st. There is no advantage of turning in your application on August 1. They don't even release them to me until like the end of September, beginning of October. So there's really no advantage to get it turned in that early. Let your counseling office come back to work. Let them get settled in that first week. There's all those classes moving around and stuff. Let all of kind of that settle down a bit. And then you can kind of request this transcript sent in. and all of those things. So that gives you an idea. May 1 is always a very important timeline. That is the commitment timeline when you need to select the university that you're going to. If you know for sure before May 1 where you want to commit, that's great. We have up until May 1st to make that timeline. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. When you apply to Michigan State, you'll have access to your account. It is our primary way of communicating with you. So any decision that we make will come through your account. If we're missing any information, we'll let you know on your student account as well. So it truly is our primary way of communicating with you. Depending on how you apply is how soon you'll have access to your account. If you use our internal application, probably less than 24 hours to have access. It's all housed within the same system, so we can turn it around pretty fast. If you use Common App, it's usually about a day or two, just because Common App has to send us the information. We got to put it in our system and then turn it on for you. So, you know, I don't think that's enough of a difference to kind of sway you one way or the other. The only exception to this is if you wait and apply on October 31st, you're really looking at like 10 to 15 business days until you get access to your account. This year, I think we were about 14,000 students hit submit in a 24-hour period on October 31st. So again, that's a really good reason to look at like beginning of September, middle of September to middle of October. Get in well before that timeline of November 1, because that's when a lot of other people are panicking and trying to submit everything all at the same time, and it just delays everything. So get your application turned in. Like I said, middle of September to middle of October, you'll have a lot faster access to your account, where you can check and make sure that everything's turned in. And like I said, any decision that we make will come through your student account as well. Okay, we'll go to the next. I think I got 2 more slides yet. So we would love for you to come up and visit campus. This QR code will take you to our visit website. If you come to our table, the Spartan helmets have this website on the back of it as well. One very special visit that I would recommend is this summer at the end of July is our Green and White Days program. It is our open house program at Michigan State. So you'll come and hear an admissions presentation, a little similar to what you just heard tonight. But then after that, the campus is kind of yours to explore. So departments are open. You can meet with academic advisors. You can connect with the different departments on our campus. We set up big tents, so student organizations are there. So it's a great way to kind of get a feel for Michigan State, get a sense for it, and it's a lot more than just kind of our standard visit. That being said, we offer our standard visits pretty much throughout the entire year, especially during the summer. You can come up and visit quite a bit. So a lot of opportunities at that visit site. And then we'll go to the last slide. That is just me and my email. And then also, if you click the QR code, it might ask you some questions about who you are. That just lets us know that you hung out in this presentation tonight and that you were with us. But other than that, I am here tonight at the table, but then also my colleague Katie is here from the residential college in the arts and humanities. So either of us can answer any questions. I think we prefer to answer questions at the table. So once I'm done here, we can answer those questions for you. But other than that, thank you so very much for coming tonight and for listening to the presentation as well. Thank you.